When you launch Adobe Illustrator, you will see a screen similar to this. Obviously, your recent projects will look different than mine, but we're going to create a new document. And as you can see, there are presets that you can use, but we're going to make our own. So depending on if this is the first time you've launched it or if you've used it before, your thing to set here might be inches, it might be points, and you're going to be setting the size of each of your artboards. And your artboards is like a little canvas. So you can think of it like you have this big space, you've got your studio, and inside you've got different canvases that you're going to work on. So in this case, I'm going to use pixels because we're going to be mostly being on screen right now. And again, you can set this. In this case, I'm going to say 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. I'm going to give myself a square to work with that's a decent size. But the thing about a vector versus, say, if we're working in Photoshop, is that because this is all math, you can scale it up and down and it will be perfect when you scale it. So sometimes you can work small, sometimes you want to, like if you're making pixel art, you want to work small, or you can work really big, and we can rescale it. So unlike Photoshop, where things are going to be set, because in Photoshop it's going to make a grid, like you took some graph paper and you filled in each square on the graph paper a different color. In this case, it's going to apply an equation to every point, and it can re-input that equation and spit out a different value for different sizes. So I'm just giving myself a decent sized square to work with. Now the next thing I want to do is set the number of artboards. So again, this is how many canvases do I want in my studio. And in this case, I want 6 because I'm going to have my 6 icons. So when you hand in your final Illustrator document to me, you'll have 6. Now for your roughs, if you want to do your roughs inside of Illustrator to take a look at them, you might want, say, 12 because you need 2 of each of them, and then you will pick your final 6. If you do that, please just save them as 2 separate documents so you can give me your roughs and then give me your finals. Now, when you first go in, you probably won't see this drop down, but in here you can change your color mode and what resolution it's showing you on the screen. Because again, it can redo the math equation at 300 pixels per inch, at screen 72. I've chosen medium. And again, since I'm working on screen, I'm going to use red, green, blue. So remember, that is an additive color system. It's on the screen, CMYK, subtractive, and that's for print. So we're going to use this on screen, so we're going to do RGB. I do also just want to note that you can go into more settings to see things like how do I want those canvases laid out in my little space in my studio. You can change that in here. You can also change how much space there is between those boxes. I'm going to keep the default. Once you're happy with your settings, you'll hit create, and then it's going to pop them into the space for you, as you can see here. And in this space, there are a couple areas I just want you to look at. You've got a toolbar that's going to be on your left-hand side. A lot of these tools are going to be the same no matter which Adobe product you use. As you can see, if you leave your cursor over a tool, it will tell you what it is. And pay special attention to the tools that have little arrows at the bottom corners, because those tools you can click on and there are more tools within it. The second area I want you to look at is at the top of the screen here. That area has kind of like settings within that. So in the case of if I want to make a rectangle, I can change the stroke and fill. And over here, your stroke and your fill, those are going to be 2 of the biggest things you use in order to make your objects inside of Illustrator. The last place I want you to look, and this is what makes our current version of Illustrator makes your life a whole lot easier, is the properties panel. Depending what tool you're in and what you have in your area, that properties panel is going to guess what tools you want. Now, I can go and change what windows I have up here at the very, very, very top, but for the most part, it does a pretty good job of guessing, and that makes it so much easier for you. You don't have to go digging for things. There will still be occasions where what you're looking for isn't there, and you will need to go digging, but for so much of the time you don't. And in fact, when we do image trace, you're going to see that it'll give you settings that you are interested in and give you the option to open up the window if you want to fine tune them. We'll get into that more when we're actually using it, but keep your eye on this properties area. Make sure that your properties window is open. Make sure you get comfortable with the tools on the left-hand side, and just remember that you've got other settings up at the top.